Hello from wherever in the world you're watching. Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle Live. I'm Becca, and today we're going to be diving into the incredible world of Disney's Festival of the Arts. So whether you're a first-time visitor or a seasoned Disney pro, this festival is something truly magical. A celebration of creativity that brings together visual, culinary and performing arts all in the heart of Epcot.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go. So as always, I'm not alone. Joining me today are Ben.
Hello, everybody.
Simon. Oh, I think you're on mute, Simon.
I am indeed.
We'll try that again. Hi, Simon.
Hello. Like every team's call at work.
Yeah. Yes. There's always someone that's on mute, or someone's got the camera off, or something.
Backwards, upside down.
The funny thing is how long it takes for a person to recognise they're on mute. Because sometimes it's like here's 30 seconds of them delivering a presentation, and like everyone's saying you're on mute, and they're just not listening.
Yeah, but that's part of the fun of it. Yeah,
oh, it is.
Says a person who is very much the last one to know when he's ever on mute. Like, you know.
And as you can see, John's with us as well. Hello.
There you go. And it's dressed for the occasion as well. Look, see.
Hey,
Figment. On brand with Figment. So that's even better. And I've got to give a little special mention to, I think it's a travel and tourism people at Scarborough Sixth Form College.
Okay.
Right, who've invited me in to talk about doing podcasts and blogging.
Really?
Oh,
that's brilliant.
Well, do they know? I know absolutely nothing, but hey.
You're going to be inspiring the next generation.
Exactly, but we all...
John, probably what's happened is they've heard you talk about, was it Flamingo Land?
No, I think
several times before.
I think they know that my kids go to Florida way too often than is humanly good for the soul, or certainly good for the bank balance. So I think that's more the reason, and how something that becomes like a holiday and a family thing, then I think they've kind of twigged into the fact that when we've done this, it's all about sort of just coming and talking about a passion every Wednesday, and and going across the globe, and it's great.
I've just got visions.
Heather's joined us as well, so
I've got visions, John, of you printing out your trip report.
Just reading
and just
through
like,
it.
here we go. I need to fill a few hours. Perfect.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I could maybe use the time. The time when they're nice and quiet reading it, I could maybe get the next day typed out. That would be that'd be even more handy. It really would. But we'll get there. But it's quite nice. It's nice to know that people are actually, people locally, the word spreads, and I think that's really nice. Once we get to a new year and we actually get lots and lots of new people and regular people watching each and every week. So
we do indeed.
John, I have to highlight your comment.
Yeah.
Florida, the weather in Florida today. It's like the first pictures I saw when I woke up this morning was people talking about snow. Was it in Pensacola?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And it was like, no, snow in Florida.
Fabulous.
We don't even have snow here at the minute.
I think it's the end of global warming. That's all I'm saying. That's it. It's done. Global warming's it's done. It's all dusted. That's it. We're all over.
I have to admit, I don't care what the weather is in Florida. I'd much rather be there at the minute. There's just part of me that, especially with Fest of the Arts, we've only been to that festival once. But every time I look at it, I go like, I just want to go back.
It looks so much. Does look so much fun.
We all have those things. I think we've mentioned on so many shows before that there's just certain things that happen at Disney throughout the year that just make you book that next trip.
Yeah.
And it's like, I haven't done this in a while. It's like, okay, at Christmas we spoke about like Jollywood Nights. Now we're talking about Fest of the Arts. I'm really looking forward to talk about this tonight because it's a festival that we've done once, but not been back.
And not because we didn't enjoy it.
No,
because we loved it. It's my favourite festival.
Simon, you've been to Festival of the Arts a few times.
I don't know whether it's a few times. I was certainly there last year.
Yeah.
Because it was cold as well when I was there last year. It was one of those weekends where the park was deserted. The first day I was there, it was pretty cold. The next day it was definitely going to need to wear trousers. And to the point in the evening, Epcot was dead. By the time the fireworks started at 9 o'clock, there was nobody there. You could have stopped at least 3/4 of the fence route around the showcase lagoon, because there was just nobody there. I don't think I've ever seen it as quiet as that at closing.
No.
As when I was there during Festival of the Arts last year, it was
Maybe it's something about this festival that just brings the colder weather.
Brings the cold in. Yeah.
If I'm remembering rightly, you and Robin did a live from Festival of the Arts last year.
Or was it the year before?
Might have been.
That might have been the year before. So
Was it?
Maybe
I've done it.
I've done it twice.
I think the thing is, it's an Epcot festival that serves food. So sometimes
like all of them.
Yeah. So sometimes it's quite easy to mix them up, but I find that the way I differentiate between food and wine is that the food looks it is better presented.
Yeah.
And the thought has gone into how it looks on the plate and more of that attention to detail than probably what I'd get food and wine, where it's like, it's supposed to be what taste. That's what it's supposed to look like, even though you think I've paid $8 for something that sometimes resembles a dog's dinner.
I think it's not a festival at Epcot if it doesn't have the food options, right? It's there's more often than not there's food booths and a festival on Epcot, isn't there? There's not many weeks of the year when it doesn't have that.
No,
June and July, I think, are the only 2 months.
Yeah, that's true.
So just
quite nice sometimes to see it without all of the paraphernalia.
I don't know. It fits Epcot quite well having those booths. John, because you were there last. Did you get any of the festivals?
We did. And actually, I'm in two camps on this, because actually part of me really enjoys the bit where there's nothing within World Showcase, and you're not tripping over queue lines and things like that. But actually, each of these festivals brings a different vibrancy into the park, and I think that's the beauty of it. And I certainly think this is one festival I would really love when I get the opportunity to go to Florida and just to be able to be part of, because it is so different. And actually, I'm a massive advocate for the arts, and not just artwork, but the arts, and actually incorporation of dance and music.
Yep.
And on a wider scheme of that, I can leave the food bit, but actually celebrating the arts is becoming something, certainly in this country, we don't do enough anymore, and we used to. And I really feel that, to have this kick off the whole of the 2025 series of things within Epcot, I just feel it sends the right message about sort of the positivity and everything that Disney's about, and it just brings that all together within a very short period of time. And that's a bit that I think I said this on the show the last time when we talked about the festival. It's such a short period of time that everything's there and it's in place, and
pretty much just under 6 weeks.
Yeah, and
it's five.
About as short as the Festival of the Holidays, I think.
Yeah, which only goes from like November to this end of December.
It's just weird, isn't it?
I think we've got so used to food and wine being such a long festival, especially the other year when they started at end of June and it went all the way through to like November. I think that sort of people visiting that sort of time have gone, oh, that's the length of a festival. And then you go in like, oh, you hear about this one that's going to be in January into February. But by the time that's there, they're already thinking about taking it all down and getting it ready for a flower and garden.
I had a really, it's one of those moments when something comes into your head, and when you're just like, hang on a bit. Do they use this as an excuse to just take the Christmas tree down and to make sure that the Christmas tree comes down? Because actually, I don't think it was too long ago on some of the groups that I'm on where people were complaining the Christmas tree was still up in Epcot. So I think it must be that's the sign. Oh, we need to get that down because actually Festival of the Arts has started. Yeah, it's just maybe it just hurries people along a little bit, you know.
Well, what I like this year is, I think we've all had the chance to experience what CommuniCore Hall was last year, the sort of cafeteria experience we all had, and I'm just so happy with what they've managed to achieve. I've got a picture of it somewhere. So this is what it looked like last summer when it opened.
I like a canteen.
So I think it served a purpose, especially a bit of air conditioning. But now what it's like now, part of the Disney on Broadway celebration, I feel like it's actually utilising the space of what it's for.
And the way it was supposed to. I almost wonder if they either hadn't had time for the festivals last year, or they hadn't finished the concepts for what they wanted for each festival.
So because I don't think it was open for Festival of the Arts last year.
It wasn't. I'm not sure if it was open for Flower and Garden.
No.
It was open for Festival of the
Food and
Wine and for Festival of the Holidays.
So I didn't see that building at all actually open last year. I only saw just around the outside of it when we were there during Flower and Garden. So yeah, I didn't have any of the disappointment of seeing it empty and unutilized.
It was good for food and wine because there was a few places you could get mac and cheese. There was a merchandise place, but it didn't live up to the concept art that we were sort of given by Disney back in sort of when we knew that the actual festival centre was no more the original plan. So I think we were just all a bit disappointed of like, here is this incredible sort of concept art with Figment, lots of things happening. And then it just turned out to have a relatively empty space, which looked like it more belonged on a university campus than it would in the centre of Epcot.
An empty university campus.
Empty university.
Yes, that's exactly it, isn't it?
It does look like I photoshopped people out of it, doesn't it?
And furniture.
No, there's a person.
And furniture too.
I see two people.
Okay.
Actually, I see more than that. There's loads of other end.
I think the job they've done on doing that, I think it's really sort of taken people by surprise, because it really is by changing what has possibly become a little place of ridicule and actually changing it so well. I think again it sends the right message once again, and you can only think positive. I'm in that really positive mood tonight. I don't know why.
So with the reason why
it'll soon wear off. You're all right.
So the actual what is in CommuniCore Hall is for 30 years of Disney on Broadway.
Yeah.
So it's celebrating 3 decades with costumes, props from things like The Lion King, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, I think Tarzan. There's so much in there from Disney on Broadway that when we were there in 2019, we were lucky to stay in the evening and see some of the shows. And it was incredible. To be honest, we went one evening and were blown away by it. We went back the following evening just to see it again.
Yeah, well, they were different people.
Yeah. And
so we thought we're going to see the other lot.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And I think, and the problem is, like you said, it's only a 5 to 6 week sort of run. It's a shame it can't be longer.
Yeah.
But we got a list of
we
who's...
do have a list. Scroll all the way to the bottom of this bit of paper.
Wow.
The concerts. There's quite a few people. So,
and there's some new faces as well.
So you've got ones from Frozen, Lion King, Aladdin, Tarzan. Oh, Ashley Brown from Mary Poppins. I think that's who we
did see Ashley Brown
last time. Kissy Simmons, Lion King, Michael James Scott, Aladdin. There are so many dates and so many performance times. So it's at 5:30, 6:45, and 8 p.m. in the America Gardens Theatre.
Yeah, and there's a big special finale performance with all of them on the 24th of February. So if you're in Epcot on the 24th, you get the...
that's a day that I would definitely make sure that I'll be in Epcot.
Yeah, because that's going to be spectacular.
That would be superb, that.
I say all of them, not all of them, 4 of them.
Yeah. where normally it's 2 per night, so you've got 4. So you've got, on the finale performance, Rodney Ingram, Cara Lindsay, Michael James Scott, and Kissy Simmons.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something that you would do, John?
Take me there now. I'd love that. I must admit, I actually got. I think when was it the weekend? I actually started watching 1 or 2 live vlogs of the first day, and it just becomes really fascinating to see just what other people are saying about it and what other people's viewpoints are, or something that, you know, as you're the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah,
you know, I tend to go on the line of, I don't like sort of having to watch because I want to be there, and it was fascinating just to see it. And again, I would just say that whole thing. It's right up my street. I did have a giggle at one of the streams I was watching, because the stream sort of deteriorated into the fact that one of the food items gave both of them acid reflux. And I'm not saying which stream it was, because I'm just. I was
going to say, do you know what food item it was?
I think it was something that didn't look very nice anyway. But I think they tasted it before, and they weren't for having it again. It was just like, it's just ridiculous. So it's there you go. And right on cue in the chat. There we go. Disney Night heard us there. You must have known I was talking about him.
46 degrees. So what is that
there you
in
go.
Celsius?
Well, it mustn't be that hot, must have been, you know.
So the Disney on...
It's a balmy 8 degrees.
Ooh, chilly.
Oh, that's
still warmer than here.
Boiling up that. There we go.
Yeah. Someone's still wearing shorts somewhere.
Get your shorts on there, Charlie. You'll be all right, mate. That's it.
Yeah, balmy Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
But the Disney on Broadway concert series is the only one of the concerts from the festivals that I'll actually go and watch.
Yeah.
I'm not fussed on the...
We're happy to walk by. Was it Eat to the Beat?
Eat to the Beat, or the... I can't remember what
I don't mind
one's called.
Garden Rocks.
Garden Rocks. There's never anyone that I want to go and see on either of those.
There is, but it's not on the times that I'm there.
You're clearly never there when Starship are on, because
Nothing's going to stop you now, Simon. That's it. You're on.
The only one I think
always when Starship
was
on. Yeah.
Was it Hanson?
I think we might have been there when Hanson were there, but I only know one of their songs, so I'm not.
But that's the same as everybody.
Let us know in the comments. Is that the only song you know?
I think so. Yeah, I think it is, isn't it?
I like listening to music that I know, and I know
Wilson Phillips.
Broadway
Wilson
stuff.
Phillips have played there, but everybody only knows that their one song from Bridesmaids.
I think it's difficult, especially when you have got, at least with festivals like this, it's like for us, there's a 6-week sort of run where for a couple of weeks you'll be able to pick and choose what ones you want to go and see. But when they're only doing a couple of nights,
through
the other festivals,
it becomes
it
becomes what you're going to bump into more than anything that you can plan, which is really annoying.
Yeah,
Simon, how much of the music and the arts bit did you say? I know we're going to go and talk more about food, but being there, how did it actually feel to be basically involved in a live arts festival? Because there was loads and loads of different things that are there. You know, the mural that gets added to day on day fascinates me massively.
Yeah.
You know, what was your experience of it?
We got stuck into doing all of that stuff, painting the mural, walking through the chalk art that they have along the
it's
walkway.
incredible.
And that gradually builds up during the day. So if you've had rain the day before and it's washed everything away, there'll be nothing there in the morning. And then as the day goes on, it's gradually being added to.
Yeah.
And then you go through it later, and you've got a walkway covered in artwork. The vibe is so much more relaxed, I think, at the Festival of the Arts. It seems like there's a lot of people interacting and talking about artwork as well. And you don't necessarily see that the same at the other festivals, because everybody might be there going, I'm going to go to that booth and get this wine. Whereas you've got artists that are actively creating artwork there, they're displaying their artwork. So they're there passionately talking about what they love. And other people that are going, especially because their favorite artist is also there with their artwork up.
Yeah.
And
it's always a good excuse to find your artist and find the artwork that you've been thinking of getting, and then you're at that moment like,
I'm going to buy it.
It's a perfect excuse, and they'll sign it as well.
Yeah, I've got $2,000. I'm going to buy this really expensive piece of artwork, which I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So the really expensive artwork, you see the people coming out with that, and I don't know whether they wait the whole year just to go to the festival and get the latest piece that they're craving. But it's just get stuck in. I went and did the drawing classes, similar to what they offer in Animal Kingdom, but you're doing them at the amphitheater in the America Pavilion. But there's just something going on wherever you are. There's something to get involved with, some live activity that is interactive. I find the atmosphere to be really relaxed and engaging, probably more so than any of the other festivals that you go to. So yeah, I'd pick this festival over others for the food and the offering of what is there. I'm less about some of the. I don't tend to go to the concert things just because they're never on at a time when it's suited. I love going and see, like, we're all about Starship and Boys to Men. We'll always go and catch them. But we've just, it's never, the timing's never worked out because we've always focused much more on all of the arts events and things that are going on around the park.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, there are so much, it's trying to pick and choose. No matter what festival, no matter what you do, you've got to try and prioritize because you're never going to fit everything in. And I remember when we've seen, like, walked past the chalk cart, and then if you've got to do your photo pass, you've got the photo opportunities. I think this year there's a new Moana one, but you can be part of different artworks, and I think that was really good.
That was great fun, to be fair.
Yeah, I should have got the pictures of me in the artwork. There was some that me and Robin did I think probably 2 years ago. When I posed in the artwork as if I was sat in there or with the people in the image. But yeah, it's a shame I didn't dig those
so
out.
Clever. I think now with at the end of,
I've also found, if we're talking about food, why not try and get? I've managed to do this during the course of the show because he actually messaged me before and missed it. But this is the best thing about a Wednesday. Why not?
You never know what's going to happen.
Pardon? What was that?
You never know what's going to happen.
Got a special guest star.
Yeah, but I just thought, and it's great because I know he was there on the actual day because he was on a live stream or a podcast or something. But he very kindly sent me some information, the best and worst of this year's festival, and I thought, hang on a minute. If you're sending me this, why not just send a little message to him? Because he's not been in the chat tonight either, so I know he's probably been busy at work. So John Self has very, very quickly been roped in, and actually, and actually, I think it's really pertinent because actually, John, I think every week that you join, when you join us in the chat, we really appreciate some of the advice that you give. That's really totally up to date, and it's really totally on point about the here and now within the parks. And I think that, I think we said it a couple of weeks ago, when we're so far across the Atlantic, it becomes really, really valued and really appreciated. So welcome to the show. Happy New Year to you. I know we're nearly in February, thankfully.
Is there a cut-off point to say Happy New Year? Do we carry on to
I don't know.
March.
If I met someone for the first time in September, is it like, okay, Happy New Year?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, let me talk. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure I wasn't on mute, so make sure we're good. Okay.
There you go. He was ninja watching from the start of the show. Look at that.
Yeah. It happens sometimes. And yes, it is a little cold here in the lovely Central Florida area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe one of those days that they don't put in the brochure, isn't it? Yeah,
No, it's not. We did get down to 1.5 Celsius, so
Okay.
we got close.
Yeah.
Right.
the
Good.
orange crop will be fearful. That'll be it, won't it?
Yeah, and the iguanas falling from the trees. If you're not
Yes.
familiar with that does happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
John, how was the first day of the festival?
okay, well, you must
Was it
remember
as busy as it usually is?
Okay, that's a different question. Let me answer that real carefully.
Oh, dear.
I'm not. Granted, as we're well aware, if you follow me, I've not been doing full-time blogging except for the last 3 years. I was doing it part-time for a long time. This is the busiest I've ever seen the lines for festival booths at any festival at Epcot in my entire life.
Wow.
I had many friends who were down. I mean, they came from Illinois, they came from New York, they came from one came from Nevada, and they were there. It was like their last day of the trip.
Yeah.
And they came to Epcot and they saw it. They went into CommuniCore Hall, which God bless them, they finally used it properly. And then they left because they were like, the lines were way too long. And trust me, as someone who had an objective to have about 30 food items on the first day, the queues really slowed us down. But, eventually I do want to give the cast members credit. They did a really good job of, in almost all cases, making the lines move properly. Except for some country where Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is. They can never get that queue to work properly. Sorry.
Always so long.
Yeah.
Usually the food's not great.
But that's so quintessentially French as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So
I believe as a U.S. citizen, I'm allowed to make that crack. I'm not sure you're allowed as in your world.
we're not allowed. We're not allowed to be part of Europe anymore. So yeah,
Exactly.
I think we've insulted them enough by departing that. But hey, that's another story. So I must admit, John, I was really fascinated by not just the fact that there are new additions this year as well. So I know Robin and Simon have been previously, and actually I know, Simon, you've got quite a few favourites to share with us as well. What are the current new additions that you would recommend?
Okay, well, technically, according to Disney, and this is kind of like, according to our governments, we cannot, either your country or mine, doesn't matter. We can't always trust them when they tell us exactly how many it is. But according to Disney, there's 28 new items this year for the Festival of the Arts, which is an outrageous amount. I normally cover every new item first day of these events. 28 is a large amount. I was overly impressed in the American Adventure Pavilion with the what did they call it? I'm doing this with no notes and just talking to them, so I'm sorry, everybody. They called it it's an open faced pot pie. Basically, they've taken the equivalent of a US pot pie and they've put it on a pastry, and that's not wrong. A flaky, it might even be a pizza crust. It doesn't sound like it would work, but it actually worked, and it looked really good for the festival event. That's been a quintessential across the board. Everyone's agreed that was a good option.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember which article I sent to you. Did I send you the attractions article?
I think so. But you also, I think on the list, and I've seen the picture of it. There's soft shell crab slider, which looks absolutely just. Again, I think Ben, you said it earlier in the show. It's that whole thing of making food look just absolutely magnificent, but it looks like a proper crab, and they've just put a bun lid on it, and so it looks amazing. It probably tastes rubbish, but I don't know.
No, it actually tastes pretty good. I don't think I put it on any of my best lists or my top recommended lists.
Yeah.
But it tasted pretty good. It's obviously not authentic mid-Atlantic crab or Maine crab that we would have here in the U.S. because you're spending $7 for this slider, but for what it is, it was very high quality. And
are you trying to say that you've imported cheap British crab?
Well, I don't believe I'm allowed to say that as a guest who was invited a few minutes ago. But
it probably isn't either. Like,
we have lots of cheaper crab in our area, and it has a lot to do with preparation and all these kind of things. But I mean, I think they did a good job. I mean, this comes down to, like we've talked about before, you can't go to a quick service restaurant for a salmon dish or something like that and expect it to taste like the $40 salmon dish at the upscale restaurant. That's not fair. So you're spending about $7.25 for this slider. I think it's a good option. I mean, shockingly enough, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Everything connected to CommuniCore Hall this year is really, really good for this festival. The food at the outside booth, because that's no longer, they don't have food in CommuniCore Hall anymore because of the 30 years of Broadway presentation. So it's outside. They've taken away the festival favorites, and now they've disguised it with a new name. Because technically, all three of those items that are at the festival favorite booths, the chive and something scone, which has salmon in it, the soft shell crab we just mentioned, and the Enchanted Rose are all items that have appeared somewhere else before. They just changed them a little bit.
Okay.
But all of those were good. They plus the Encanto show outside and the art. They moved the artist that does art to the music. That portion of the festival, they moved it across from the Encanto show, and it works. It works really well there. And they've also set up.
That's clever.
They've also set up, as you leave CommuniCore Hall, because you can only go in one way. There's one way in and one way out. No food is allowed inside CommuniCore Hall to protect the products that are in there now with the Broadway. Yeah. So when you come back out, you're back out in the main CommuniCore Hall area. You go across we'll call it a courtyard. They've set up artist studios over there also where you can buy art and all those things. So they've really used that area very well. And in fairness to Walt Disney World and the plans, when they showed us concept art of what CommuniCore Hall was supposed to be, rather than what we would call in my country a middle school cafeteria with the local parent teachers organization selling stuff inside of it, this is what they said it was for, and this is what the concept art was for. And in fairness, they did a great job. Yeah,
I think from what I've seen of all the pictures and the videos, it just looks exactly like concept art. It looks just like what we were promised, which is nice, because especially after the past few festivals where it's like they're not sure what to do with that space.
Right. And how many times does Disney show a concept art and that's what it looks like?
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah. It doesn't happen. There's not plenty of changes.
And in fairness, compared to the other major theme park resort that's actually in Orlando, they do that really well, but they don't show you the concept art till 2 months before it comes out. So it's a whole different issue.
Yeah, it's already built. We know what it looks like.
Right. Disney shows it to you 7 months in advance.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 years in advance.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to ask Simon as well, because actually, having been there last year, is there anything on those lists that you're thinking, oh, that really stands out for me? Because actually, I know I get that FOMO bit, where you go and see something one year and maybe you miss out and you're left and you're going, oh, I wish I was there this year. Is there anything that sticks in?
I would be trying the crab slider, that's for sure. And I would probably try. I've had it before in the UK, but I would eat the squid ink pasta. I've had that at Italian places before, but it's unique. I don't know whether they actually use proper squid ink in what they're doing there, but it's a novel idea. But I don't think a lot of what was there last year has returned this year, has it? It looks like the majority of it has actually been. I think before they've brought a couple of things back that they've had, and they've tweaked them slightly, but they brought them back. Whereas this year, the menus all look like they've really refreshed them and brought something completely new to every booth. So fair play to them for going to that extent and just refreshing everything. But I'd probably be trying the Enchanted Rose as well, because why not? I'd eat it all. Yeah. I just get everything. 3 or 4 days, I'd just try the whole menu. Why not?
Yeah, that's intriguing. I was just picking up even in the chat. I know Charlie's mentioned a couple of items. He's talking about the pot pie and also talking about the mushroom risotto in Canada. Yeah, and this is the fun thing about this show on a Wednesday, because actually, if you're putting stuff in the chat and you were actually there, it kind of leads on to actually the fact that you can get people like John Self here. And actually, for me, it's really useful you being on screen, John, because usually when we refer to you in the chat, I'm thinking, if I'm not speaking, I'm thinking, what was said? And it's just, oh, John said, oh, I'm like, whoa, it's not me. And it's just like, so it's good there. So going back to your experience on the opening day, I know you said you had loads and loads of, I think you were sold the premise that you were going to eat, was it 30 odd items or something?
30 items were on the agenda to be eaten that day.
Yeah, well, that's quite a
I had a little
challenge.
Help. I had some help, and circling back, the Enchanted Rose, if you don't want to get it there, you can get it at Fairfax Fair at Hollywood Studios, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks really good, and it's one of those things you see everywhere on Instagram. It's like I think it's going to be a hit of
and that
festival.
That's why it stuck around from the 50th, and then it became a regular item, and then they've tweaked it a little bit along the way. What was I going to say? Oh, there are very few booths. I believe the booth that's kind of on the edge of Mexico and the one that's near Test Track, the deconstructed dish booth. I think those are the only two that are purely 100% the same items as last year. And whoever mentioned in the chat, because I can't see the chat right now, sorry, I see what the problem is now. The wild mushroom risotto at the booth that generally is considered to be for Canada, that was also good again this year. The thing you want to watch is try not to get it at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, based on just how it's made.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect advice. Love that.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the list, and as with every festival, it always makes me hungry.
Yeah, I think as well. You mentioned about deconstructed stuff, and I seem to remember this from the show we did last year or the year before, and I know Simon was responsible. And I think we ended up this deconstructed. Was it deconstructed key lime pie or something? And that's. I'm digging right into my memory core for that, because I'm not even got a note of it in front of me. But I've got to admit, that was one of the most hilarious things I have ever seen, of just how you just sort of take apart a key lime pie. And did you taste it, Simon? That was the other thing I was going to ask you.
I don't know whether I tasted the key lime pie, but I think it was because I was always a bit put off by something that's like they've gone, we can't really be bothered assembling it for you.
Yeah.
You're just going to have it, just chuck it on a plate individually and make it yourself, kind of thing.
Put loads of colour in that, loads of colour.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like that key lime pie has been around since we went there?
It sounds
It sounds very familiar.
The deconstructed key lime pie has been there at least since I started doing this full time. So it's 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty good. And we felt that several other items that were at other, I need to use the proper term, food cabins, not booths, food cabin or food studios. Sorry.
Studios.
It's food studios, food cabins at Busch Gardens. Sorry, I'm confusing my two words. It's food studios because of the art. We felt several of the items could have just gone on the deconstructive dish also, because they did a really good job of presenting them, and they were set up differently. Like I think it's called the Deviled Egg Trio at the American Adventure.
Yeah.
And they had the return of the hummingbird cake. But the problem was when I went to review it, so I had other people do it with me. I had just been to Chef Art Smith's homecoming a couple days before. So let's see, deviled eggs and hummingbird cake. Yeah. So I wasn't paying $5 for hummingbird cake at Chef Art Smith's. I sure wasn't paying $7 for deviled eggs at Chef Art Smith's, but it's also a quality level. Off the record, I'd tell you to get the hummingbird cake and not the deviled eggs trio or whatever they called it at American Adventure. It's a really great idea, and it's kind of a deconstructed idea, but it doesn't work as well as it should.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
Well-
I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I'll let you go first, John.
As I understand from chatting some of my other colleagues, and maybe this is not going to help your ratings on your stream here. Many people who are used to the UK palette and items that you get tend to eat at Chef Art Smith and really Homecoming at Disney Springs and enjoy it, but then still feel a little sick afterwards. Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to make sure we're on the same page here. Okay, that's a common thing that I'm seeing when we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Whereas people who live in the U.S. were like, oh, we don't know the problem. What's the big deal? It's the fat content and the butter and all the other things that go with that we use here in the U.S. because we apparently don't care about our health. But I think you could handle the hummingbird cake and the deviled egg trio might work better for the standard UK palette than Chef Art Smith's version does.
Yeah. I must admit,
Chef Art Smith's is lovely.
This is true.
I must admit, I'm getting the shout from the front room where my wife's watching the show and she's like, "Oh my word, that is totally on the banned list."
I was going to say, is Alison making a list for August, John?
Yeah, she is, but she's also thinking that is something that would create absolute mayhem if she was to eat that. That would be just the most disgusting. Yeah. I'm not going to go into detail. It's too horrible to think of. But
I have enough trip reports from other people who have visited across the pond. And I'm like, you said that Chef Art Smith was the best restaurant at Disney Springs. We went and we felt this way. Okay, just if you're an international guest, just understand you're not alone.
Oh dear me. Yeah, where do we go? Where do we go next with it? I don't know.
Well, there are a couple of pics, John. There's one that's got some of the food that both me and Robin had last year. 3 of the things that we picked up on that we really enjoyed, and I don't know whether they're all back this year. The Black Forest cake, a bread bowl with cheese, because why wouldn't you like bread and cheese?
That's been there forever.
Yeah,
we had that when we were there
2019.
in 2019.
And then
it was amazing. We had it twice.
The mango cheesecake with passion fruit, which I think was at the Encanto.
Those are all 3 back this year, in some capacity, and just to let you behind the scenes. The mango cheesecake, they don't promote it as the Encanto booth anymore, but we all know it as the Encanto booth. I thought that mango cheesecake was fabulous last year, and I was told by someone important that there's an implied rule that I can't have that cheesecake without them. Okay, so I had to skip that the other day. So that's how important and exciting that cheesecake is. I'm building it up a little bit too much, but just so you guys get an idea that when these items return, they're because they sold well, they could be made well, the food supplies didn't go up, and they were good. They were easy to prepare quickly. And so sometimes we lose items because they just couldn't figure out how to make them fast enough. It's really that simple.
Yeah, because you don't want a long queue for something that isn't actually
right.
It's just
yeah, I would say all 3 of those returning items are worth getting.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to steer you towards the cheesecake. There's also I've written so many things in the last couple weeks. A cheese and potato enchilada or a chicken and potato empanada. It's an empanada that's there. That it's really, really good.
It sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but I remember it was I haven't had it this year yet, but I remember last year I had about 4 of them, I think.
Oh, wow.
I remember when we had the brie bowl. We had it once, and then it was like...
We liked it so much we had it again.
Well, the thing is, we got one to share at first, and then it was like, okay, I'm going to go and get one.
See this?
It was...
I don't mean to give relationship advice, but that item is far too small to be sharing.
Yes.
That's just what we decided.
Yeah.
So we got a second one.
Made a lot of sense.
Very nice.
So even from the picture, it looks quite a sizable item. So what he kind of talking about the size of a baseball, maybe for the
Yeah, sort of reasonable sort of
Palm of your hand sort of size.
For the Brie Bowl?
Yeah.
I'd say it's a little smaller than that, but I mean, it's not a lot smaller. But the problem is you've got your bowl and you can only get so much cheese in there.
Yeah. Oh, that's
not
intriguing.
it's not a question of quality. I mean, it's not going to blow you away or anything, but it's a good use of your money. But just understand that there's a reason it only costs $6 or $7.
Yeah,
US.
I think in 2019 we were on the quick service dining plan, and we had lots of snack credits, so it was an ideal purchase.
And again, I think that's the trip, Ben, where I actually feel that when you guys were out there, you actually managed to do so much, and actually involve it that's still there, which is brilliant because it actually gives us a great insight. Simon and Robin have been there a couple of times, even if Simon only thinks it's once. But it actually, I just again, I come back to this thing I said right at the very start of the show. I really wish I'd be able to go and just experience it because there's so many things that are different, so many things that make this such a brilliant festival. I'm going to go to all of you because actually, if I'm going to put it out there, is the fact that I'll come to John last of all. I'm going to start with Ben and Becca because their memories you're probably but you're probably in the best position to answer this question. Is like, what is the most memorable food from the time that you actually went and actually experienced the festival, even if it's not there now? It's just like, what is it that you would say was one of those standout things that you actually got to eat? Because to me, I think even we said it just earlier, is the fact that they reinvent this, and it may appear elsewhere on another food booth or at a different festival or even in a different park in a different incarnation, but good food is something that you really do appreciate so much when you actually get to any park or any festival or basically any day in Disney when you're actually getting good food. Go on, Ben and Becca, take it away.
We've already said it, and it's the breaded brie bowl.
Yes.
That, I have to admit, that was
is that the one? There you go.
It caught us by surprise. It caught me by surprise at the time, thinking like, because we've been to the festival before, we've been to Food and Wine, we didn't really eat that much. So going to Festival of the Arts at that time, I thought we'd spend a lot more time there, and it was like, I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? We're nearest France. Let's see what's on the menu. We didn't do any planning into it, and we were just so surprised, like that hit the spot. It was just what we wanted. But unless you found something else.
I'm trying to remember whether the ham and cheese gratin was a Festival of the Arts thing.
Oh, sorry, I forget I'm live. It was Festival of the Arts.
So that then I'm going to say the ham and cheese gratin. I really
sorry for those of you watching online. I'm signaling like I'm not really a part of the show. Sorry.
Wonderful. That's good. I love this.
Yeah.
So there was a ham and cheese gratin from the Germany booth that was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, they've done a modified version of that at several different festivals.
Yeah.
So you may like me remember a version you liked better that was a different festival.
Food and Wine.
Because I struggled with that on Friday. Of this tastes like this. Oh, that's right. That was Flower and Garden, or that was this. And
this is familiar. Why have they bought it for this festival? Because it was like that one.
Yes.
And that in itself intrigues me because actually does that kind of blur all of the food festivals? I think that's essentially where I was going to end up with this, but we're edging in that bit.
I think a lot of it probably is because it works. They know it works at one festival, and just by giving it a name and tweaking it makes it easy because they know it's something easy to make.
And they know there's no free dining plan anymore, so they know they're not going to end up out of pocket when people like the two of you come to it.
Great, next one, babe.
I'm just noticing Wendy in the chat mentioned about the ravioli dish. The chef from the Italian booth disappointed her last year, and usually the Italian booth has delicious food as well. So again,
I don't mean to be a food blogger or anything, but I'm about to. The Italy booth is a third-party organization. Disney doesn't do the Italy booth.
Yeah.
I would disagree that the food is usually at the Italy booth good. They tend to we tend to make jokes in our country of the I can't make fun of them because I may work for some of these companies, so I want to be careful. The company they just went to the local Publix and picked up something and then put it together. And rather than really committing to making something. Now, in fairness, if you have a picky eater in your family, the Italy booth is going to be the way to go.
Oh, okay.
I have to admit that. But if you're looking for, I want to have something that's really high quality, the Italy booth is usually the last one I go to.
Yeah.
I agree.
Perspective.
I agree with that, John. It's
I've just seen Robin's comment of could have broken a window with one of the donuts they gave me. It's so hard.
I think we've seen other friends that have been and bought cocktails there, and they've been more like the sampler cocktail, and they're more expensive than any other booth. And you think,
yeah, they are.
You're actually getting a really small sample size.
But in fairness, and this is true when you prepare stuff at your house. Okay, we're complaining about food that if we made it at our house, we'd be happy with it. You're trying to make dinner that night. When you get all of the ingredients that you can normally get at your grocery store and you put them together perfectly and they match the way they're supposed to, that's a really great meal. Unfortunately, you may be like me and you don't have the skill to do that very well, especially when you're rushed and you create the same thing that was so good 2 weeks ago and it tastes terrible because it's all about the preparation at the time. So, I've been to the Italy booth. I'll pick on the booths right now. The Italy booth, the France booth, the China booth, where the food is phenomenal, and then the next time it's less than phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so you have got to always factor that in. So I'm not surprised to hear that people have a wide experience. Like, it was really great one time, and then I went back to have it again, and it was terrible. I think you can expect that at the third-party booths at the festivals. So I feel I'm giving away information that will get me in trouble.
No, I think that's really important. That because actually, if you're doing your homework, it's out there in the public domain anyway. Of which countries actually the food is provided by a third party provider, etc. So if you're actually able to do that, then we're getting onto a little bit of a trait here where maybe for your own, for your own choice and for your own sort of ability to go and choose, and again, I'm going to go with Simon because again, I'm going to rely on your own experience last year. And again, does that sort of thing sort of hit with you with your food choices when you go and do something like this as well?
I completely agree with John's point that every festival, I think there's certain booths that we tend to shy away from past experience. Italy is always one that it's not even that necessarily the past experience. We often find the menu choices they don't appeal to us in the same way some of the others do. And I think that the one that everybody knows now, as you say, is the Encanto booth. I had the empanada last year. The food there, the drink selection there, the dessert things, that tends to be one that we'll always gravitate towards, and we've usually tried most of the items off that menu. And the same then with Germany, the bread bowl, and it's the same with the other festivals through the year when it's cheese and bread and potato related. That's always it's always one that we get. Well, I think just naturally gravitate towards things that both that we are appealing, and then there's others where we just shy away from it because of that past experience of it's never that good and it just doesn't do it for us. So yeah, certainly anything that's got rum-based cocktails on it, I will go and try.
Now we're talking. There we go. We're going to go down the drinks way after all. There we go.
Right. If you have enough rum-based cocktails, it doesn't matter how the food tastes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do.
I'm not encouraging this. I'm just saying it's true.
Is that probably why some people rate Italy higher than others? It depends how much they've had to
By
drink.
the time you get
before-
round there,
By the time, yeah.
Right.
if you're going the right way round, anyway.
It could be that as well, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, but it's yeah. So, John, I'm just again coming back to your experience of the here and now. So, I'm not going to go for all 30. I'm definitely going for that cheese bread bottle thing. That to me just sounds perfect. And gone with Simon's rum because actually that would just wash it down nicely. But again, just coming back to you, whereabouts would you actually say would be the best places? Don't miss them. Don't go walking past. Don't listen to what anyone else is saying. Go with what John Self says because he's on the Great British Mickey Waffle live on a Wednesday. And if we've got people who are going out to Orlando, maybe watching this next couple of weeks, they're not gonna be disappointed if they miss out on which particular place. Go and tell us just very briefly.
Well, we've already kind of covered it. I'm now grabbing up Disney's marketing to make sure I say the right thing.
See, there we go. I put you on the spot completely tonight. I really.
I've already mentioned it. The opening bites menu, which is used to be the festival favorite booth at CommuniCore Hall. I mean, it has 3 items that I think are definitely above average. You just have to get over the texture issue of the soft-shelled crab. And that's about it. And those of you who are not from the U.S. have to get over the fact that what we call a scone is not really a scone by your definition, because there's a cheddar and chive scone. It's not a biscuit by our definition either. It's somewhere in between. But the smoked salmon was really well prepared, and everything else that came with it was really good. Let's see. I don't think I wrote about this, but we thought the this year's version of the Liege waffle at Connections Cafe with the ube filling, the Figment's Liege waffle was really good. I mean, they do the waffle every year. It's really good. And I think the other place that I really hasn't gotten a lot of mention, and I'm looking for it in the marketing and not finding it, was the I think it's Refreshment Outpost. You know how there's 3 different places that have refreshment in their name, so I always mess it up. Refreshment Outpost, which is kind of in the port of it's between the port of entry area in Canada, where they sell the poutine, the loaded fries. They have a caprese loaded fry this year, which caprese poutine, which actually works. I didn't think it would, but it works really well, and I found it finally. Caprese poutine with Tuscan spice French fries. It's confit tomatoes, slivered garlic, mozzarella pearls, basil pesto, shaved pecorino, and balsamic glaze.
That sounds really nice.
To call it caprese is being a little generous, but I guess by definition with tomato and mozzarella, it is caprese. But it does work, because a lot of times if you go to this festival, you'll go to that booth and they'll have their seasonal thing, and it will be, how do I say this nicely, below average. And so this one was really good. It's kind of like the funnel cake stand always has an item, which this year was okay. I wouldn't run to it. It's nothing special, but it was at least, it wasn't as awful as last year's version.
Isn't it the cotton candy funnel cake?
It's a cotton candy, but in fairness, it's your standard funnel cake, U.S. funnel cake, well, U.S. Disney funnel cake, with the funnel cake base and the sliver of vanilla ice cream, which looks like it's specially designed for an ice cream sandwich to go with that. And then they put that on top, and they put whipped cream on top of it. And then a tiny, tiny, tiny amount that you could easily eat in one bite of cotton candy goes on there, a little bit of sprinkles, and you're done. I'm not sure it's worth $12, but I didn't check this year. But that has been historically available as a snack credit on the dining plan.
Yep.
And so if you need to keep an angry child happy or a hungry teenager happy, that might be a good use of your snack credit.
I was thinking purely myself. because it gets to
that point in Epcot.
it gets to that stage of the day where you just need like a sugar rush and things like that.
Well, I get to avoid that because I never. On these festival days, I never find myself hungry because I know what I'm in for. But I can imagine being at Epcot and being hungry, and you're waiting on the Broadway presentation at 5:00, and you want to get a snack. It's right around the corner. I could see easily doing that.
Oh, brilliant, John. What I'm going to say, I'm not being rude in any way, shape, or form, but we'll drop you out of the show.
Okay.
And then because I just know we've got a couple of pictures and things like that just to finish before we come to a close. Can I just say how much we really appreciate you coming on and being part of tonight's show, but also how much you've invested time and effort in being part of so many other shows as well. And I know for you, you're probably thinking, we're just helping these Brits out and things like that. But from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate what you do. And I really appreciate you getting in the chat. For people in the chat, we're open to you coming and just being part of the show. If you've got something, you've got an experience, come up. We want you to be part of, be it a podcast, be it live on a Wednesday. Get into our socials and then just let us know that you can be part of it, because actually it becomes really difficult if we put you on the spot like I did to John tonight. And I really appreciate you coming back to me so quickly, because the show had actually started, and it was at that point I was actually searching for a menu and actually spotted what you sent me in Messenger. So a massive thank you. We really appreciate you so much, and stay warm. That's that's one of the best things we can say to someone who's in Florida right now.
Yeah. I knew this was coming, and I lived in the northern portion of the U.S. until moving down here sometime last year. I'm good on the weather. This is not a problem. And this is like when we used to experience snow in Arkansas or Missouri or parts of Texas. Yeah. It falls. You stay in your house. It melts. It goes away, and you're fine. Yeah. This will go away. I saw, and I can't do the conversion because I'm not as good when the number gets high, but about 80 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature sometime next week here. So I don't think I'm going to be too worried about it. So what is that? What is that? Probably in the low 20s Celsius.
Like late 20s.
Back to normal.
Yeah.
That's a hot summer's day where I live. That's all I
say. I know that it is. So don't feel bad for these people in Florida complaining about it being cold.
It's just nice. I actually think it's a really lovely thing, and I know that snow, when it comes in America, it becomes a massive issue. So if anyone's watching this and you get you get the 10 to 20 feet snow drifts that snow brings, please stay safe, because I know that it's not a pleasant experience. But again, I've only one question to ask John as well. So if you've come from up north and you've gone to Florida, did you bring your winter coat with you? Because everyone in the UK has a winter coat. We've got this nice coat that we know doesn't matter how cold it is, you can put that on. Because I've been in Canada before in the middle of summer, and we've gone with summer wardrobe, and had to go and buy winter clothing in Vancouver Island because it was so cold in August. So I'm only going from experience,
Yeah, I had to get it from the storage unit this last trip up to Illinois. But I have all my winter coats now, which is convenient. Back to one of my former professions. When you're a sponsored athlete or a sponsored coach, they give you lots of those things. So I had to find it. So I'm good. Adidas took care of me.
Excellent. That's what. Hey, it's a nice plug there. You're good at this, aren't you? Slip a plug in as well.
Well, I do live in the country with NASCAR. They teach us how to do this, and they tell us how to hold the bottle properly. I am brainwashed in how to do that. Sorry.
Just one last thing as well, John. And I know that we get loads of people watching this in the States, but also in the UK. But if people are trying to see some of the things that you are writing, because you write so much about not just about Disney food, but about loads of other food. You were on another podcast, which I think was, if I'm right, was on YouTube live from the parks last week. Tell people where they can find bits of you and bits and pieces. I know that some of it's sort of probably
sorry. Yeah, some of it's behind the paywall, and some of it's in books that I'm sure you could go to Amazon if you needed to be guided to how to go to places.
Yeah.
I hear there's guides for lots of places that are in the Orlando area that you could go to. But usually the best way to find me is on Twitter, X, at Pastor John Self. And John is spelled Jon, because H's are oo, Pastor John Self. And I've been spending more time on Instagram lately, which is john.self37. You should be easy to find it from there. And so all my other socials are connected to that. If we sit here, especially this week, because I'm in the middle of negotiating new deals, if we went through all the places to find my stuff, that would be hard. But so far, for this festival, I've written for Attractions Magazine. Some other, I can't mention them. Main Street Magic. I think I wrote something for Vacationers Podcast already. And
I think that Vacations podcast was actually,
and then a couple of travel agencies also, but I'll stay out of that for now.
Yeah, but yeah, we appreciate you very much, and
no problem. Thank you,
and thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really enjoyed you giving us all that insight, because it was really valuable. So, and
thanks for indulging my large ego.
No, not at all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
See you later.
Thanks, John.
There we go. So, and that's the magic of a Wednesday night. I never knew that was going to happen. So I do apologize live on to you guys as well. It was one of them things. It's just like, oh, that sounds an absolutely brilliant idea. Simon, I keep coming back to you because I know you've got the most recent experience of this. So have we got any pictures that you haven't shared yet?
Yes, there are. I've added a couple more in there because Robin has sent to me.
There we go. Because I actually know that when we do this, and I know by the time, if you listen to the podcast, by the time you get to this, you are actually probably in the position where you're probably fed up of talk, and you've either switched off or whatever. So, yeah, see, Becca's fed up already. You see,
it's nearly bedtime. That's what it is.
But the pictures part of it, if you watch it on YouTube, actually makes it become a lot more real, and
it just makes you more hungry. I've worked that out. It's like you can read a description, and I think this is the thing when you're walking around those Disney food booths, and it's like there's a little picture next to them, but sometimes you just like I'll read it and go, I don't know what's in that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what I'm gonna get.
And I would also say as well, Ben, one of the other things that I know we're as a group we're really bad at this as well. Because if we upload photos and we don't use them in the show, we know how much of a pain in the backside it is to try and upload photos and put them into the stream and things like that. And then you get to talk about it and we don't talk about it. So, Simon, indulge us in your and Robin's photos, because this is one of the highlights from last year.
So
you actually were able to go and do all of this. So
yeah. So this is just kind of a bit of a flavor of the kind of artwork they have there. It's dotted all over the place. Sometimes you don't, it's kind of direct. You've got the chalk art that is sectioned off and it's great. Other bits is just subtly added in with the decor and the structures of the park itself. And
I love the Monsters Inc. one. Because I just realised that's foreshadowing for D23 last year,
isn't it? Just that is just. Do you know something? I'm actually, as I'm looking on screen at the three photos. If you are listening to the podcast, if we could possibly and actually in the chat, Robin's blagging the credit for the photo as well. But if we can maybe put that picture into the Waffler's arms as well, because it's a beautiful epitome of what last year was to become with the Monsters Inc. Doors coaster announcement. And actually, when you think of something, and did the reaction from this festival last year actually get that to the forefront of people's mind to actually click the button and say, yeah, this is going, because the artwork itself is something else. That is just beautiful. That is gorgeous.
The next few are the kind of life-size step-in photos, which
Oh, okay.
yeah, we did.
I
We
love
did a
that.
whole host with me in the photos, and
You
they're
love
just-
it, yeah, love it. Really, you do, really do. I think that is just amazing. That is quite, yeah, it's quite surreal.
That's so
Yeah.
good. I love that. I just love it. It's just something's different because you don't get that at any other festival that you're part of,
No.
and
No,
obviously
that's
that's because you're part of the artwork. But I think that's really good.
and then the last one is
That's just
That's
brilliant.
good.
Ah,
I just wish there was an actual
Yeah.
chair there, I would imagine.
So for
Yeah.
those listening on the podcast, if you head over to our Facebook community, the Wafflers Arms, we'll make sure that these are posted in there so you can have a look and understand what we're talking
What we're
about.
giggling about.
and Rob, yeah, Simon basically is in the middle of some of the greatest artworks in the entire world and things like that. So that is just absolutely superb.
and it's that sort of thing that is just the arts festival all over for me. Is
Yeah.
the stuff you can get involved with. It's wherever you turn them through the park, there's always something that is going on. And I think did we do the mural painting on the live stream when we were there 2 years ago?
I think
You
it
did,
is.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Just like you get your paintbrush and a bit of paint, and here's your numbers, paint by numbers, and it's just
I wanted to go around and do it again.
and again and again. Could have left you all afternoon doing
Could have
that.
done.
Yeah.
I
wonder
think they would
how.
have got bored of me eventually.
But I wonder now because actually, I know if it gets busier, then you wouldn't have that opportunity to just sort of spend as much time because people are trying to, maybe cast members are trying to move you on a little bit and things like that. Because I think when it's quiet, and if you choose a quiet day, you could just spend, you could spend a bit of time where you just kept filling bits in and actually seeing it grow, and then maybe go and do soaring for a bit. Go and do.
I do like when you go back though.
That's
from another day as well.
Yeah, and see
you
how
realise
the whole thing grows.
Yeah, or how it's like it's got a point and they finish it. You're coming towards the end. The next day you're in. It's like they've set up brand new again. It's incredible.
I always want to know what they do with the finished ones.
I always thought they used to put them on display. They moved them to a different part. I remember during the one where there was like construction, obviously being Epcot, that they moved some of the murals that you were working on onto those construction walls. But obviously they're not there now, so I wonder where they end up.
Yeah, but the other thing as well, and this is sorry, I'm really overthinking this way too much as well. But in this digital technology era, rather than it actually having to be stored, and it probably will be stored somewhere, but the actual digital image of it, they can actually go and they can then use it, and it can just pop up on the walls. It can pop up on different little bits and bobs as well, which is absolutely superb. I just think it's great. Really
Hannah's made a great comment. I love doing those types of photos. It's for all the family. There's less pressure than doing the characters, because sometimes, especially if you've got younger ones that don't want to talk to characters, there's a lot of pressure on that communication and trying to have a good experience. Where with those, where you can take a bit of time where it's not too busy, in those sort of photo opportunities, I think that's really good.
No, that's really good. I don't know. It just excites me every time we talk about this festival. It excites me. And Simon, have you got any more of Robin's photos?
I haven't got any more.
That's fine. That's all right. I'm just making sure that she doesn't keep nagging us and things like that, and say, "No, you didn't show us that one."
We'll dig some out and put them on the Waffles Arms and share some more of them, because it's definitely one of those festivals that I think you could go every year and sample something different, whether it's the food or the murals are different. Some of the photos and pictures, the artwork's going to be different. You'll see some of the same artists there, but they'll bring new artwork. You're not rehashing the same stuff. And I think it's one of those things that makes it slightly unique. But Yeah.
And if you're there at a time that the festival isn't on and you want the flavour of art, make sure you pop to the Art of Disney store in Disney Springs, because it's just incredible. We've bought a couple of pieces of artwork from a particular artist who's there. He's been a couple of times and signed it for us. And I think every time that we plan on going back to the festival, we're going to make sure, because they're usually there.
Scooter has become a favourite of ours, the mid-century modern work of Scooter. We got a couple of prints of his artwork last year. And yeah, we're following on Instagram. He always posts the artwork that he's preparing for the next festival. And then you see some of those. Yeah, the work was really good.
A lot of the artists do bring the work to Festival of the Arts, and then once the festival's over, then you'll find it at Disney Springs usually. But I've got a picture actually, which is not festival related, but I want anyone watching on YouTube, get your phones out. If you scan that QR code, you will head straight to our website, which has the links to everything we do. So if anyone who wants to find out on our latest podcast, find out on everything what we're up to, join us in the Waffles Arms, just scan that QR code that's on your screen. It will take you to the website.
Hang on a minute, Ben. Right, so
Someone's been busy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right, so take that off screen for a second.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, what I need to do is, if I'm watching either on YouTube, on the TV, on the computer, right?
Yeah.
So I get my phone.
Yeah.
And just go to photo, and wait till the little yellow bit comes up on there. Take a picture of it, and it takes you straight there. It's just like magic. It's just magic.
And there you go. If you press play on podcast, it'll open up a new podcast app, so you can listen to the latest show.
And yeah, our mid-month show is out at the minute.
That is.
Was with John and Claire as they caught up with Josh and Morg and recapped their incredible experiences last summer with the Disney College program. It was a great conversation. I listened to it. I don't often listen back to our podcast.
That's because you don't listen
I
to it.
hate the sound of my own voice. Hate it. Can't listen to it. But I wasn't on this one, so I could listen to it, and it was brilliant. It was a great conversation.
It was. It's really strange, because in fact, actually, I might need to put this in the Waffles Arms as well, because actually today, if anyone was inspired by their journey, Yummy Jobs have opened up the next version of that, which probably will be for summer 2026.
Yeah.
Which probably shows how long that whole process becomes. That you chuck a little bit of an email out, explain why you're passionate about Disney. They get in touch with you. You do a load of interviews online, and then by the time you get to about December 2025, you go down to London. If you're fortunate enough, you get an interview, and it all goes from there. But you forget that it actually is, such a long process, and it is such
I love the
really
series
long
we've done on
process.
the podcast, where we've gone from like the planning and what happened and all the interviews, and now we're sort of recap afterwards and of the experiences there, because it's as per everything, not everything's all plain sailing, and you got just an amazing report from both of them of what they experienced.
Yeah.
And I had a different idea of what was it, the Thai bus.
Yeah.
My place, I'm not going to get ice cream.
I have had ice cream from that bus before, so
I think the next time we go there, it'll be like with a flamethrower. You just be like, it'd be one of those.
Wait, we're all there in August. We need to go and take a picture.
And send it to Josh. That'd be a good idea.
Oh.
It is absolutely brilliant. That's been so good, such good fun, that though, because actually I think Robin said in the chat that I need to go and do the Festival of the Arts, and I totally agree.
Yes.
I really do. It's just maybe the weather is what puts me off. Maybe that's it.
2 years in a row, it's a bit chilly.
go towards the February end of it.
Yeah, there you go.
January and go in February.
Yeah, I keep watching Charlie's channel on a Friday and see exactly how the weather pans out for him as well. So go on, Becca, wrap us up, because actually we've gone from being sort of bang on time to being way over time in just the blink of an eye, which is
We
a
have.
good sign that it's been a good Wednesday night. So
We really hope that you enjoyed listening to us and joining in about our Festival of the Arts. And thank you for joining us today. And if you love the show, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another magical moment. We will be back next Wednesday, and we will be talking about some of the best off-site breakfasts.
So we've gone from what food
We've
from one
gone
week to
from
another.
food to food.
oh, there we go. That'll be interesting.
It's going to be
yeah.
a good topic next week.
Yeah.
If you want to find out what we're up to in the meantime, you can find us on all of our socials at GB Mickey Waffle. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, which I still am not on.
Hey, there you go.
So-
I'm going to go and check that out.
I'm not on TikTok either.
John, I think you beat us first when you
I
set
did.
your
I
account.
did. I was for
It's your claim to fame. You
the
beat-
last person on Facebook. I was at least the first one on Blue Sky. I'll take that, and I'll still stay on Twitter because I really love winding people up on Twitter.
No, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Bree, for joining us as well, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you real soon.
See you soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my